Time to learn about buses. So a bus inside of the audio world is different, of course, than a real bus, but in a certain way it is similar. In the way that in the real world, a bus is something that many people get onto and go to one location. So you have different people coming from different places getting onto one bus that goes somewhere. And in the audio world, it's like that too. You're creating a new channel where you can have multiple audio signals, multiple tracks flow into one channel. And then that channel can flow somewhere else. Or you can do all sorts of things with it. Like you can apply effects to all of the tracks that come into that one channel. So you could have, say, a piano and a guitar track flow into the same channel, and you could put a reverb or some other effect on that channel, and both tracks will get that same effect applied to them. Or you could pan it or volume change it, and they would both at the same time be panned or volume adjusted or whatever you want to do, because they would be in one channel. So really, a bus is a way to combine multiple audio signals into one audio signal. And then you have a lot of options about what to do once you've done that. Like I said, you can apply effects to all of those channels at once, or you can group a bunch of similar tracks together. Say you've got a bunch of instruments playing chords, and you don't want to always have to adjust the volume of all the individual tracks. You want to send all of those chord tracks into one channel, and then you can have a single fader that can control the volume of those 3 or 4 tracks all at once. So you can make groupings. For instance, all your drums could go to one bus, and you could control the volume of all your drums simultaneously with one fader, or put effects on the whole drum set with one channel, just putting one insert on that channel. And then you could even send that bus to another bus and include some other tracks and do more with it. So buses can flow into buses and so on. So what we need to do is actually start looking at how to make these buses, because that's going to illuminate what their purpose is and how to use them. Okay, so how do you add a bus? There's 2 main ways to do it. The easiest way is just to right-click somewhere in the mixer, like here for instance, and then I have this thing that says Add Bus Channel. If I click this, there's my bus. It appears like this. Now you can see it's called Bus 1. I'm just going to move this over here for now. Bus 1, and we can start now sending or outputting different channels to this bus. So for instance, say I wanted the chorus drums and the verse drums to be sent to one bus so I could control the volume of both drum tracks at one time. So in my chorus drums channel, I'm looking at the output. Right now it says main, but what I really want is the bus. So I click on this, and there's bus 1. Now I'll take my verse drums and click bus 1. Now both tracks are being sent to this bus, and you can see that if you look closely with this little thing. These are how many tracks are being sent to this bus. All of the non-illuminated ones are empty, but you can see there's 2 illuminated slots because there are 2 tracks being sent to this bus. Now if I solo this, I can turn this down, and it turns down the drums. And it will have turned down the verse drums as well if I move over to them. Oh, I was in the verse there. I sold this. Sorry, I was in the chorus. Here's the verse. If I turn it way down, now I go to the chorus, it's turned way down too. And you can see on its own channel, it's going at regular volume, but when it hits here, it's way down like this. I can bring it back up, and it's back up for the chorus as well. So that's 2 tracks being sent to a single bus. Now I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to start a bus a different way. I'm going to use the same 2 tracks here. Actually, I'll keep them soloed. Let's take these 2 drum tracks, and I'm going to hold shift so I can click on 2 at once. So I've clicked one, I hold shift, and I click another. Now both are selected. Check this out. I can right click and say Add Bus for selected tracks. This is going to automatically create a bus, and it's also going to change the outputs of those 2 channels to be that bus. So I'll show you what I mean. If I click this, now both channels say bus 1, and here's bus 1. So it made the new bus for me, and it took the channels that I had selected and output them automatically to the new bus. And the new bus is outputting to main. So eventually, the drums do get sent to the main channel at the end, but before that, they both get sent to one channel, which is the bus, and then the bus gets sent to the final master channel over here. Now let's look at one other method of doing this. I'll just undo that. The last way, which honestly I never use this, but in case you did want to know how to do it, is over here we have a little drop-down menu and you can add a bus channel straight from here. And now it adds a bus. And one thing I'll say here is that anytime you add a bus, you can do this. I'm going to rename this by double-clicking. I'm going to say drum bus. So I've renamed it. Now when I come over to my two channels here, I'll select them both with Shift, and I go to change their output. It says drum bus. So it's not just bus 1 now. Now I know it's drum bus. So if I name my buses, then I'll never get confused where things are being sent. I might have a drum bus, I might have a piano bus if I have multiple pianos, or a chord bus, or any number of things. But it's good to name them because then they show up in this list right here with their appropriate names. So if I click on drum bus, they both change to drum bus and they're being sent. You can see the two little illuminated slots, and this is going to main. Now, to further the example, I'm going to create a percussion bus. So I've got these, whatever they were here, shakers, and claps. So I'm going to highlight all three of these, the claps and the two shakers, right-click, add bus for selected tracks. Now it's called bus 1, but I'm going to call this Perc Bus. And these change, right? So now these are being sent to the Perc Bus as well. Now what I'm going to do is send the Perc Bus with its little output here to the drum bus. So there's a lot of flow going on now. Let's check it out. We've got these percussion tracks flowing into their channels here, right? Coming down the top and going downwards. Then each of these percussion tracks, the two shakers and the claps, are being output to the Perc Bus. So here's the Perc Bus. So this bus now is controlling all three tracks at once. Let's take a listen. I'm going to solo these percussion tracks. I can turn them way down like this. So it's controlling all three at one time. Then this Perc Bus is going to the drum bus. So then this one flows into this one, and then this one flows into the main output at the end. So I can now control the volume of all of the percussion and the drums simultaneously with the drum bus. Or I can control just the percussion by itself with the Perc Bus. So you see, you can create as many buses as you want, grouping tracks together, sending them to a bus, grouping another set, sending them to a bus, grouping another set, and so on. And then those buses themselves can get sent to another bus to make even larger scale groups that you can control with one fader or put effects on them. A lot of times, people will put effects on a drum kit as a whole. So they would send all their percussion and their drums and their crash cymbals and everything all to one bus. Then they would put some EQ or compressors, which we haven't learned about yet, on that bus to affect all the drums all together. Then you have this one channel that controls the whole drum set. You can always go back and change the individual levels of each part. You know, I could change one shaker to be louder or make the claps quieter, but then the Perc Bus will still control the level of all three simultaneously, but they'll stay where they are relative to one another. Meaning if I turn down the claps but leave the shakers where they are, and then I send that to the Perc Bus and I turn the Perc Bus down, still, the claps will be quieter than the shakers, but they get turned up and down all together at one time, essentially like that. So that's taking separate audio signals, merging them into one channel, and then dealing with them like that. And then that one channel is now acting like a normal channel and can get sent anywhere else you want it to. So buses are extremely powerful. You can do so many cool things with them. We're going to be using them more and more as time goes on. I use them all the time in every song for so many different purposes. And we're going to learn some important ways to use them coming up when we talk about sends. So sends operate almost in a different way. You're still using buses, but you're creating copies of your audio signal. Instead of sending the actual audio signal using this output, sending it to the Perc Bus, we create a copy of the audio signal and we send that to a bus. So that may sound confusing right now, but you should try and experiment with this. Open any song you want and just create a bus and try sending some tracks to that bus and see how that works. Try moving the fader up and down and panning it, and notice that you can control all those tracks at one time. You can, of course, undo that or don't save the session. Just play around with it to see how it works. And then you can come back and we're going to learn about some cool stuff using sends.